Welcome to Base Chakra Consciousness. You know, always have to fix this up even though I just did it 50 times. 50 times before, you know? Yeah, that one. All right. Sweet. Base chakra, who can feel the shift? It's like, oh, it's pretty big. There's definitely been an energy shift. Maybe that's just me, but there definitely has been an energy shift. So I'm curious if you guys can feel that. All right, so just going to share this live stream while I'm getting you guys to jump on. Trust Intuition Early Bird is open too for the first 2 weeks of August. We've got Trust Intuition. So this is for our 2023 round for next year. So the early bird for that is what's open now. All right, I'll just share this and concentrate for a minute. And how, I'm trying to concentrate, but how is it that integration week starts next Monday? That's the Lionsgate portal. I think it's kind of significant and awesome. I couldn't have planned that if I tried. I just get intuition. I'm like, okay, we're starting this. And I'm like, oh, integration on Lionsgate portal is pretty freaking awesome, I think. If I do say so myself. Hey, Moon. Okay, one more share. And Early Bird for Trust Intuition is open on Base Chakra week, which is your life purpose week. I'm like, okay, it's pretty cool. It's brilliant, I know, right? And starting to activate your Archangel frequency next week on Integration Week as well on the Lionsgate portal. So there's a lot that I want to talk about. There's actually, and then there's something else that I'm going to release this month, which I haven't talked about yet either, which I'm really, really excited about. And, you know, it's funny because I had these like massive shifts about my purpose and what I'm here to serve with you guys and like be of service. And it was just like everything just recalibrated yesterday. And I'm like, of course, it's Base Chakra tomorrow. Like, of course this dropped in. Of course this, you know, happened. Like, yeah, it's kind of interesting and funny and all the things. Okay. So just bringing up these comments. Awesome. All right. So how are we feeling? There has been an energy shift, right? Or maybe it's just me. Maybe we've come into like base chakra and like totally recalibrated through all the chakras, which is what the journey is all about. It's what, you know, why we do this journey. And every time, you know, you go through a round of the chakra consciousness, like it literally brings a whole new wave of light, a whole new conscious understanding through each of the areas of your life related to each chakra. Like that's why we do the life purpose life purpose accelerator. That's why we do the chakra consciousness journey, right? And you know, as I always say, this is just a snippet, because then there's the chakra consciousness for each course, like for each chakra, and it's a lot more in depth. Yeah, definitely a shift. Yeah, it's definitely been a shift for sure. Okay. So today's base chakra, yeah, and Trust Intuition Early Bird is open, so you can check out the link in the title of this live stream as well. And it is for the 2023 round. It is early bird, and it will only be for the first bit of August as well. So base chakra, it's life purpose. Base chakra relates to obviously your base. A lot of people, or traditional spirituality calls it root chakra. I call it base chakra. Same thing, right? And at the base chakra, it relates to the crown chakra as well. And just like at the sacral chakra, it related to the third eye chakra, because they were both like, the sacral chakra is, there's the one in from the top and the bottom, right? So the sacral and the third eye are very interconnected. The crown chakra and the base chakra are very connected because they're both at the top and the bottom, yeah? So when we're working on base chakra, crown chakra, things can be activated. So you can always go back to the crown chakra consciousness and watch the crown chakra again to, you know, if you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't relate to base chakra. Like, you know, you can watch the crown and you might have some ahas and then it'll sort of flip you into the base, yeah? So, because it is about your spiritual connection, it is about, you know, how you are feeling grounded on this earth. It is about, you know, how you are, I want to say doing life, and, you know, it's very physical. When we get to the base chakra, it's a very physical reality. It's where we birth babies, it's where we birth projects, it's where, like, you know, like we build a house, like it's your physical relationships that you have in real life, not just online. Like it's very much like your physical aspect. And I'm getting the message as well, it's very related to your health, it's very related to like your physical body, because we get to the base chakra in this, you know, we get to the physical aspect in the base chakra, yeah? So it's like everything comes down to land at the base. We birth at the base, yeah? Okay. Dan says, I call it my blocked chakra. Yeah, so a lot of people have a blocked base chakra. So it relates to life purpose, physical, like physicality, I call it physical reality. Physicality, physical reality. So physicality, I'm just going to call it that. That's what I call it. Physicality, yeah? Physical reality. So, okay, so life purpose, physical reality, physicality. Sexuality, finances, relationships. So even though, like, you'd think relationships, and we know that the relationship dynamics and all the understanding is the third eye chakra, but when we get to the base, like I said, it's literally about like who's in your physical environment, who's in your physical reality, yeah? So it can be with online relationships, of course, but it is very much like hits reality about the truth of it too, yeah? There's something else that I'm forgetting, which I can't think off the top of my head. Oh, I should know. It's in my book here. But the thing that I want to say is, you know, like if you know, if we look at society and look at what our generations have gone through, sexual abuse has been huge, right? And even if you haven't experienced it yourself, usually someone in your family has. And even through like your mother or father lineage, somebody has, and that energy gets passed down. So it's a bit like, you know, like if you, like, you know, there's a little bit of a fine line here, because genetic diseases and illnesses can be passed down through the line, right? Like through babies, etc. And state of like your liver or something can also be passed down through the line. So on an energetic level, all that stuff gets passed down, right? Sexual abuse or anything like that, like we know that. And so when you're looking at like, oh, like it's blocked, like of course you need to like take note and really look at, well, what is blocked, right? You know, is it, which area of life is it? And, you know, the other thing too is if like your sexuality is blocked because of sexual abuse trauma in the past and you haven't dealt with it, or someone in the family has had it, okay, that will, like, you've got that too in a way, in essence. And then that also affects other areas of your base chakra, right? So it's trust. How did I forget that? The other aspect of your life purpose of your base chakra is trust, yeah? It's trust in reality. It's trust, you know, like at the solar plexus, it's trusting yourself. At the base chakra, it's trusting reality. It's trusting God. It's trusting your connection to the all. It's trusting your human body. It's trust. Yeah, it's trust. Are you in trust or you're in fear? Because you can't be in both, right? You're either closed and contracted, or you're in trust and you're open and flowing and expanding. Yeah. So when we look at, you know, like sexual abuse, for example, like that's gonna diminish trust it, and I say it like an anchor. Yeah, if you've been in any of my other trainings, you'll know that it's like an anchor. So for example, if there's a trauma around sexual abuse, it's like a weight, it's like an anchor in it. If you can imagine like a boat's trying to go this direction and they haven't pulled the anchor up, like it's eventually going to hook onto something, on a rock or something, and it's going to, you know, drag the boat down, and depending on the speed of the you know, boat or the engine power or whatever, it's eventually going to like pull the boat under in a way. I don't know. Does that work? Anyway, you get the picture, okay? And so, you know, like you're trying to move forward in this direction of your life, but it's like, oh, well, you know, if you're not looking at this other aspect, it's going to pull everything down. Yeah, you only get to a certain point, if you may. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I've opened up to is brain. Yeah, and as I said, you know, the base chakra is connected to the crown chakra, and you know, if we look at, I know this is sort of heading back into sacral chakra, but the sacral chakra in our gut, like our gut literally looks like our brain, a bit like our ovaries look like our ear chakras, yeah? Look like our ears. And so, you know, there's a correlation almost like the mirror. Yeah, we talk about mirror worlds, and we talk about, you know, the opposites and the, you know, the reflection of both, yeah? And that applies to our physical body as well, yeah? It's like the reflection and the connection of both in the balance. So as above, so below, you know, like the light and the dark, like they all exist. And so it's like looking at both. So, you know, the physical trauma, you know, of sexual abuse, you know, can affect, it obviously affects mental. Yeah, it affects it, and it closes down. So at the base chakra, it's like a fire. Yeah, our base chakra is a fire. It's red. It red relating to physical reality, but it's red like the passionate fire, you know, like, and if people have a fire of passion, it lights up all your other chakras. Like it's like a fire literally at the bottom of your, at your base chakra, and lights up your sacral and your solar plexus and your heart and your throat and your ears and your third eye and your crown, and connected to your soul star. So when these like light up, yeah, like your base lights up. So if something has put your fire out, it's going to affect not only just the other areas of base chakra, but your whole chakra system. Yeah. So, so the brain training comes into, where was I talking about this before? Must have been in one of my private groups. It was in Transcendence Reality Society. Okay. So when we look at, you know, the base chakra, okay, we can clear out a trauma, but we need to change our mindset. We can change our mindset, but we need to clear out trauma. And they work together like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's a bit like roots of a tree or roots of a weed, right? So for example, if we look at it like that, so there's like a big trauma and it sits in your aura, and it's a bit like a brick or, you know, a black hole or whatever, yeah? And it sits there and can put holes in your aura, can weigh you down, etc., block your intuition, etc., because it's like this, all these sort of things sitting in your aura, okay? And so you can like pull out the trauma, but the thing is that like I want to say, I don't know how to describe it. So it has like, I guess tentacles, but they're more like electrical currents, if you may, tentacles or threads of consciousness, okay, and they send signals up to your brain, a bit like, I guess, our nervous system, or, you know, it's like it has the connections that make our arm work without even thinking about it, right? Like, you know, we do it so subconsciously, yeah? So even, same with like a trauma sitting in your aura, it has like thought patterns that, and it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Ugh, and this is why we deal with both, okay? So this particular trauma holds a certain vibration, memories, of course, you know, emotions, like the whole thing, other people's energy, like there's a lot sitting in this like sort of block sitting here, this brick, let's call it, okay? And it also has a certain vibration that makes us think a certain way, okay? So when we clear this out of the aura in whatever means you do, and this is what I teach in Trust Intuition, we learn how to remove that not only safely, but so it doesn't return, okay? And so when we've cleared that out, if we don't, like we've cleared that out, but then these like, I want to say neural pathways or electrical currents, thought patterns are still there. Okay, they're still there. So it's a bit like, you know, if you got weeds in the garden and you just sort of like, you know, trim the top off, you just pull the leaves off, but the roots are still underneath. It's the same thing. So if the trauma is still there and we want to change, okay, we want to change my life, so let's change our thoughts. Okay, let's change the thoughts. So you start changing the thoughts and the electrical pathways, the neural currents or what have you to that trauma. They change a little bit for sure, right? But people get blocked. They're like, this doesn't work. Why? Because it's hitting up against this. They haven't cleared this out. And that's why it's both, right? So we need to clear this out and change the mindset, because those old electrical currents or thought patterns are still going to be fed from that, if you may. So we need to do both, yeah? And this is where the brain training comes in, but this is also like clearing out the trauma. Again, this is what I teach in Trust Intuition. There's a way to do this safely so that people don't go insane. So a lot of people who get like spiritual healings or clearings and they end up in hospital because that shit's real. Like what's sitting in your aura affects your physical body, affects your mental state, which affects everything connected to the mental state. Like it's big, right? Like you have to know what you're doing. I did a live stream a couple of years ago because I had a woman, she literally came to me and she's like, I went to a healing session, like she'd never done healing before, like the woman cut all these cords off her and she ended up in freaking hospital, like for real. And I'm like, you know, like you can't, there's ethics involved when you're doing healings or knowing what you're doing. This is why I train healers the way that I do, yeah? So brain training is really important at the base chakra, okay? As well as obviously clearing out the traumas that have kept us stuck in that physical reality. So just going to have a look at these comments. So, because Dan says, what about physical abuse? Well, this is the thing, right? Because even if it's like not just mental or emotional, like the physical's almost, it's not worse than emotional or mental, and one's not worse than the other, but they both have their own impacts and imprints that, you know, affect all layers of the body, yeah? Physical abuse, I want to say it's the same thing, yeah? We're dealing with the same stuff, yeah? Energetically, we're dealing with the same stuff, but obviously it's hit the physical, so then we need to sort the physical too. You got a broken bone, you need to go to the hospital, right? So, yeah. Marina says, yes, my relationship's completely destroyed this weekend and I was completely humiliated. Social media, yeah, hurt and trauma is unbelievable. Yeah, 100% it is. I actually just did a post yesterday about long-term relationships coming to a abrupt end, or life direction changes that you didn't see coming, like happening in the last week or two, even the last month. And we're going to, and that was on the Archangel post, so to activate your Archangel frequency, because of these big like shifts and changes and stuff. Like everyone's just gone like complete, like, whoa, hang on a sec, I thought I was going this way, but now I'm going this way, like what's just happened? So we're doing Activate Your Archangel Frequency starting next week, next Monday, on Integration Week, on the Lionsgate portal, which is pretty powerful, potent light energies here. And like, so we'll be doing an Archangel a day. I'm really excited about this round because I'm actually going to be channeling the Archangels live in the group each day, and then we'll be attuning to their frequency. So if you need a lift, if you need a recalibration back to the light and to the true source code of the Archangels, this is the course for you. So that starts next week. You can find that on my page as well. Okay, so Kelly says I unblocked sexual abuse trauma. It was from a family member I didn't trust. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's quite rough in these generations, unfortunately. Yeah, felt out of alignment. I need to go back to crown chakra when I get back home. Yeah, it's good to refresh. Like, you know, if there's a, you know, like I said, if sometimes the base chakra is just like, whoa, but you know, we can refresh on the crown or the correlating chakra, and that can help too, or just any chakra that, you know, calls to at the same time, yeah? And if you've got the crystalline activations, you can do the crown chakra activation as well as the base chakra this week. So you can still get them available as well, the crystalline chakra activations. So just send me a message if you don't have them, or comment crystalline or crystal below. Let's make it easy, crystal. Yes, so the Archangels next week. Yes, I'm claiming this now. Keep busy, focused, and calm. Yes, stay connected to the light, I say. Walked away from a 20-year plus relationship. Yeah, definitely lost. It's definitely lost and a grieving. Like 20 years is a long time. It's a long time, yeah? So Leah says, I need to stop the lineage of abuse to save my daughter from having to go through it and help any future generations. Okay, this is so important, guys. okay? The best way you can help your kids, the best way you can help future generations is by you clearing out what you're carrying, okay? Even if your kids are adults now, by you doing the work, it cuts the line. It doesn't get passed down, okay? Well, if you can do the work while they're in your womb or before they're born, great. If you haven't done that, you can still cut the line by you doing the work now. Yeah? That's how we stop it. By us deeply clearing out what we're carrying in our field. Energetically, it doesn't get passed down. What's unconscious gets passed down, right? And so when we're clearing out, that's how we save our children. Yeah? That applies for children you don't even know. When we clear it out, it pulls back on the line, pulls back on the timeline of that. Yeah, for everybody, for humanity. Yeah? Have 8 children. Awesome. Better get to it, especially if you've got a blocked base chakra. Don't want that being passed down to them, do we? How do you do that? Trust intuition. I'm sure there's other techniques you can use and you can find, but that is literally what we do in Trust Intuition, yeah? Okay. And this is the responsibility in the base chakra. So responsibility of your reality. You might have had some confronting realities come up in the last week even that are hitting base chakra, is super I want to say like a stark reality. What's the word? Like a shock to reality almost, of any areas of your base chakra. So anything in your physical reality that you're needing to tend to might be like a stark realization or something that you've been ignoring for a while. It's like you can't ignore that anymore. And this is the responsibility of the base chakra. It's the responsibility of your reality, ultimately. Yeah, and when we're looking at taking responsibility, and when we talk about life purpose and we talk about what did you want to do when you're a child? What are your dreams? What if you didn't have any responsibilities, or you had all the money in the world? What would you do? What would you what would you be doing with your time? How would your life be different? That applies, okay? And then people are oh, but I've got all these responsibilities, so I can't do that. It's no, you can. It's how do you make that happen whilst tending to all the responsibilities in your life, yeah? Leah says, that's why I'm grateful to find this group and it's helped clearing out a lot of stuff. Yay, yes. Trust intuition? Yeah, 100%. That's what we do in that. That's the purpose of it, clearing out trauma, because we trust our intuition. We lose trust in our intuition because of trauma, right? Because of these clouds. Sometimes we can go out into the world and we have a spiritual awakening and we're oh my God, I trust everybody. And then all your stuff comes up and you're I don't trust anybody. What's happening here? Right? And it's because all of this stuff is coming up because your vibration's lifted, and so all this stuff's come up because it doesn't resonate anymore and it needs to be cleared out. Otherwise, we're just at a halt. Yeah? Hi, Monica. Okay. So let's talk about sabotage. Sabotage in the base chakra is real. It's real. It's too good to be true. And I'm not talking about a toxic relationship, okay? I'm talking about when we finally get our reality together, when we finally get our shit together, and we wake up and we're fuck, look what I've created. Look what I've created in my reality. I've been doing the brain training. I've been turning up, because the base chakra is about action. Right? When we look at the base chakra, it's birthing physical babies into reality. We're birthing projects into reality. We're birthing dreams into reality. But the thing about the base chakra is we must take action. Dreams are good. That's what the brain's for. That's why we're up here and we're connected to the clouds and we're in la la land and our imagination is through the roof and we're oh, these dreams happen. But people you live in the clouds, and it's yeah, that's where the dreams happen. The dreams come true when we put them into action, right? There's a reason why sex is a movement, yeah? It's an action. There needs to be friction for something to happen. There's a birthing of a reality, right? So to make your dreams happen, you must take action. Nobody's dreams come true without physical action, right? Books don't write themselves. They need to be written or handwritten. It's probably easier in a computer, but you know what I mean. You want to build a house, oh, there's a dream house. I mean, sure, you can pay someone to do it, but there's an action that needs to happen before that can happen, and then there's builders that come in and build it, right? There's an action that happens when we're looking at your base chakra. Now, when you've done that and you're like, yeah, look what I'm creating in my reality, because base chakra and life purpose and trusting like your guidance, trusting life, trusting everything to happen, like moving forward, working on your money reality, like conscious brain training on your financial situation, looking at it, not turning away from anything or sexual trauma or anything that's coming up for you. It's like actually looking at it, like taking radical responsibility for what's in your reality. Right? And then when we're able to actually look at that and everything's good, because that's why we've taken action, because we've done the healing, because we're like, fuck this, like, you know, pain and trauma life, I'm done. Let me do the work. Let me heal. Let me actually like clear this out. That takes action, okay, to change your reality, right? Dreams just don't happen, but like life purpose doesn't just drop in overnight and suddenly you're a superstar in whatever way, right? You need to take action, okay, whatever that looks like for you and your life purpose and your reality, okay? And then we get to a point where we're like, yeah, this is good now, like, oh my God. And then it's like, eek. But hang on a sec, and this is where like the sabotage comes in, okay? There's a couple of things with sabotage. Is it sabotage? Or are you being guided to move in a different direction? Or is it something transforming and expanding? Or is it something that you need to look at so you can move to the next direction? Like expansion, yeah? Tricky thing, sabotage. Ooh, tricky thing. It's a tricky thing because like, eek, where is it, right? I like to look at sabotage as a recalibration, yeah? When things are good, sure, all your like self-conscious sabotage, like not good enoughs can come up. Why? Because that's the life you used to live, and now you've like worked on that and you've created this amazing reality. You'll have moments of like, eek, hang on a sec, like what's coming up, right? And so if we catch that, that's when it's not sabotage. That's when it's transformation in action. Yeah, that's when I was like, oh yeah, that used to be my old life, but that's not what I've created now. And this is what I've created, and we anchor this in, and this is the vantage point that we now stand from to move to the next section of our life, right? The next expansion of our life. From this vantage point, we don't need to go back. That's why we did all the healing work in the first place. We can now fully accept this. This is the full embodiment, and this is why with each chakra journey that we do, we layer down on it. So every year we do this chakra journey and we layer down a whole new consciousness and we embed a whole new energetic frequency as we've gone through each chakra consciousness, right? Each layer gets to be built upon the other, and we don't have to go back to that because we've healed that. That's the point of healing work, right? We get to a certain point in healing where we're like, oh, it's done now. We're never always done. There's always stuff at every level, right? But it does get to a point where the bulk of it is done. And now that you can actually enjoy life, because that's the whole point that you did healing work in the first place, so that you can get back to the joy, which is what you used to be when you're a kid. Or maybe for the first time ever, you're experiencing joy in your life. Sabotage is only there to say, are you sure? Are you sure you want this good life? Are you sure you're ready to receive all the things that you've created? Are you sure? Are you sure? And you're like, yeah, I am, thanks. Bye. You just keep walking in the direction of your dreams, in the vantage point of where you're at now. Yeah? So sabotage can be real, but it's like the catching it is what transforms it. Again, it's the action. Yeah? The action of the transformation. Okay. Okay. So some people think that they're like, they come to me because I'm the life purpose queen, and they say, what is my life purpose? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, but you're the life purpose queen. You're supposed to tell me. And I'm like, no. I help hold a space for you to unravel what it is for you. Sure, I might get snippets of like, oh, you've got this gift. Oh, you're a medium. Like, you know, well, everyone is. But you know what I mean? Like, there might be certain strong points. When you work with me one-on-one, like that definitely gets uncovered, right? Because you're doing the work and I'm holding the space and guiding different aspects, because I can see what's coming up for you and I reflect that, and you have all the realizations like, this is what I'm meant to do. And I'm like, yeah, that one, right? Nobody should tell you your life purpose, because it's for you to uncover. And it's only something that you know innately inside of you. Every single time. Yeah? You definitely are able to tap into different aspects, and, you know, different teachings help you uncover different aspects of who you are. But at the end of the day, your full life purpose, how does it happen? How does uncovering your life purpose happen? How do you even get clear on what your purpose is? You do that by taking the first step. Sometimes you don't know what your bigger vision is. Sometimes you do. You have a big inkling that, you know, or like a little inkling that you're supposed to help a lot of people, like, or you love helping people. Like, you know, people see that as a bad thing. Like, oh yeah, people pleasing, you're supposed to do that. It's like, dude, how are you supposed to be in service if you can't help people? Doesn't make logical sense. Sometimes the spiritual community can like flip it around and, you know, like put you in victim mode, and like, oh, you're a people pleaser, like putting you down so that they can stay high above you. Like, fuck no. People pleaser serves a role. You know how to fucking help people. You have a big heart and you're deeply compassionate. You usually just need to learn boundaries and a bit of self-love. Or a lot of self-love, right? But there's a reason that you have a big heart. There's a reason that you hold space for a lot of people. There's a reason that you know what people need before they know. Why? Because you're reading their subconscious. Why? Because that's your gift. You hold deep space for people. Like, big time. That's why you're drawn here. That's why you're trying to find your life purpose. Because you already help people. It's just finding what your unique skill set is. But I guarantee you, it will be reading the subconscious of people's subconscious in some way, shape or form. And it's how do you do that in a way that's of service and not in a... I guess people-pleasing way, or even an egotistical way of like telling people what their reality is. Like, there's a fine line between that. And how do you find that? You do one step at a time. You do the next thing that you're guided to do. Like, you know, I love teaching people how to do psychic readings. Why? Because it helps them to tap into their intuition. Why do I tell people, like, start doing psychic readings for people? Why? Because it helps them to learn how their own intuition is speaking to them. Nobody can teach you that. This is what I teach in Trust Intuition. I can teach you your certain spiritual organs and the way that, like, the language of your intuition speaks to you, like 100%. Like, I've got great skills in that, right? I can definitely pick out different ways of helping people to reflect and understand what their intuition was like. That was your intuition speaking to you. Did you see that? You know, like, and they're like, yeah, because it's so normal for us. We don't see it ourselves. It's so normal. We're like, how's this not normal for you? Like, what do you mean you didn't get that? And I understand, because I'm like, this is my normal reality. What do you mean you need to take ayahuasca? I'm like, can't you just see through the realms like every day? Like, isn't that normal for you? Because it is normal for us. And it's learning how to harness that. How do you do that? How do you find your life purpose? You take the first step. You might be drawn to doing psychic readings for quite some time, and then all of a sudden you don't want to do them anymore. Why? Because your intuition is guiding you to do something else, because you've learnt the skill set of understanding your intuition to that point via doing readings for people. And now it's been guiding you to do something else because you've mastered that skill of understanding your intuition and how it's speaking to you. Then you might start learning and listening and reading the keys and codes of the universe via light. You don't know where it's going to lead, but how do you start? You take the first step. You do the first thing that's alive for you. That's how you find your life purpose. It's an evolving, you know, intricate nature, just like understanding your intuition is an intricate nature. And it's a skill, and it takes discipline and practice. But how do we learn that? You take the first step. You do the first thing that's alive for you. Always. Yeah? It's how we understand our intuition. You hold deep space. Yeah, people like us, we do. We hold deep space. And we're usually told that we're too much, or that we're got a heavy energy and you're holding too much trauma and there's something wrong with you and you need to raise your vibration. Fuck. That stuff shits me to tears, man. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm triggering a deep subconscious, the stuff that you don't look at deep down, because that's the space I hold right down deep in the darkness that nobody wants to go there, but I see the truth. Oh, I see. Oh, that's why I got a moon on my forehead, because I reflect the truth. Oh, I see. It's all right, I'll hold space for that too. When you're ready, I'm here. I'm being a bit of a bitch, but you know. Let's be real. Let's be real. All right, let me just check. Okay, so sex, money, crown chakra, life purpose, brain training, taking the next step. Obviously, it's red at the base. Now, you know, I say like crown's purple and ears are pink and heart is green. And as I always say, it's a guide. Yeah, it's a guide. If your base chakra comes through for you and it's pink, you need to trust that over what I say, okay? Because when you learn something from myself or from any teacher, it's a starting point. There's a reason your intuition has guided you there. And then it's like deciphering like, okay, but what does my intuition say about that? Or you might be like, yeah, this really resonates. And then after a while, you're like, this doesn't resonate at all. Because you've learned what you needed to learn for you to understand the language of your own intuition and how it's speaking to you to then move on to the next stage of your evolution. And your mastery of self, yeah, and your intuition and what you're here to do. Okay, so base chakra, obviously related to our the physical organs it's related to is the sexual organs, and the ovaries and the testicles, our legs as well, and not technically hips, but it is hips too, yeah, and a lot of generational trauma can be stored in the hips, and it's interesting, like, I don't know, I just got this then. So, you know, like when a woman's giving birth and the hips literally move apart or like from the pelvis or whatever happens, like something like that happens, right? And what I just got is like the opening and like, you know, of course it's the opening, but then the baby comes through and it's almost like that's when all the stuff is passed to them. It's kind of interesting concept. I didn't really think about that until I just dropped in. So it's an interesting sort of thing. It makes a lot of sense. Like we know we pick up a lot in the womb, but what actually structurally like sticks from the generational pass down when it passed through the womb? Interesting. And then what about babies who are cesarean born and don't go through that portal? That's another interesting concept, right? So base chakra also related to the kidneys, the colon and the lower back. Yeah, so any lower back pain related to base chakra, yeah, and usually not trusting, but obviously like financial or not feeling supported, you know, that sort of thing through the back as well. Keeping it real as always, as always. Hi, Rael. I'm assuming that's how I pronounce it. Rael Mikali. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, so sorry if I am not. Leah says, yes, I want the happy unicorn fluffy stuff, not the real stuff. Oh, I'm always here for the real stuff. That's what we do at Reality Awareness, right? Keeping it real. Danielle says, the codes are coming up a lot lately. I know, right? I know, big time. I listened to them lately. I listened to a lady last night about them. Yeah, it's so interesting, yeah? Monica says, totally triggered. I know, right? Rael, okay, awesome. So, it's like the archangels. That's where I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm like, oh, it's the tone of the archangels. Which we're starting the archangel journey next week, guys. So if you've already been in the rounds of the 21-day Activate Your Archangel Frequency, you already get this next round for free. So once you join, you get lifetime access. Every time we run it again, and I do it intuitively, you just join us like you're already in there, right? So, but if you haven't joined, I'm excited about this round because I'm going to do a live channeled of each of the archangels. So for 21 days, we go over the archangels, an archangel a day. And on like each day I'm going to channel a live video about them and whatever messages come through, so I'm really excited about that. And you know, it's like the purpose and being a bit selfish in a way, but like it's like, you know, really bringing in their frequency into our body, into our life, and like resetting, it feels like. So it feels, yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm like, oh, soul food. Soul food. Amy says, I've had pain in my right hip and lower back for a long while. Yeah, that's interesting. So did you ever birth children? Like naturally at all, Amy? Because like for a long time, it was probably like, oh, I think my daughter was like 7 or 8. And I went to this guy, he's local on the Sunshine Coast actually, Darren. He's really awesome. If you guys are on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia, let me know and I can pass details along. And, you know, like I was running and done everything like for 7, 8 years with my daughter, of course. And he's like, oh, he's like, did you birth naturally? He's like, your hips are out and like, you know, whatever he said. And I was like, oh, and I've been doing all this stuff like on my hips being out. I'm like, why didn't I have this session after I gave birth? Like, it's like put me back into place. I'm like, wow, we're not told this stuff, you know? Yeah, so anyway, so important. Because we do open so much to birth a baby, you know, and it's like you know, like it goes back to an extent, but, you know, yeah. Oh, your daughter says she was evicted. Interesting. And I'll be working with her on those feelings. You know, yeah, that would be a big healing for her, especially if she's open to doing that. Okay. Yeah. So he's got a few certificates under his belt. I don't actually know what he does. So funny, right? I know it does acupuncture. I don't know if it's osteopath or something else. I don't know. But he does like a myriad of things and is like combines it into his own thing. So yeah, he's awesome. I was just about to say something then. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Okay. What else do we need to talk about with the base chakra? The fear. So the fear can come up really strongly when we hit base chakra or even the week before. And then, as you know, on Monday, so after base chakra, we head into integration week. And for integration, we work on a chakra a day. Now, so it's technically a bit longer than a week. It's 9 days because we do each chakra. So I work with 8 chakras and then an integration. So we're doing an integration for an integration as well on the day. So it's a week, well, 9 days after, starting next week. So on base chakra this week, obviously it's base chakra. As we're leading into next week, as you know, for integration, chakra a day. But what can happen on integration week is even though we're doing a chakra a day, you might be like, I'm like in the heart chakra week again. Like, have we time lapsed? Like, what's happening here? Like, you know, like basically whatever chakra needs more support on integration week, you might be just so totally in heart or third eye or ears or something, right? And you're like, no, we're not in like solar plexus today. I'm still in my heart, you know? So whatever, you know, and I guess I'm pointing that out again now is because as we, you know, move through base chakra week, that might already be happening. Okay. So if you notice that and you catch that, you might want to go and re-listen to whatever chakra, you know, that we've gone through that's coming up for you. So that you can, you know, just see what you need to do. If you've got the crystalline activations, of course, listen to that particular activation as well. If you do have the crystalline activation set, it can be really big and deep. So just be mindful of the work you're doing, but you can do each chakra activation per day. But that can bring up a lot of stuff too. So again, be mindful. You might be like, yeah, I'm just going to like tune into it energetically because I've gone through the whole 9 weeks. Or you might be like, I'm just going to listen to one of them. Yeah. So just be mindful if you do commit to doing like, I'm going to do every chakra crystalline activation every day next week. Like, just be mindful. I'm like, just be prepared for the fallout. Or it might give you lots of energy, but just be mindful of what can come up because it's big work. Like, we're doing the chakras. Like, this is connected to your physical body. It's connected to your nervous system. It's connected to your consciousness. It's connected to your soul. Like, and when we're doing it, it's like it reconnects. The reason we do the chakra journey is it reconnects your spiritual body to your physical body, which can have a lot of disconnect along your lifetime from trauma, from abuse, from, you know, different belief systems, like along the way, like shutting down your spirituality along the way, like, you know. So just be mindful, like when we're doing this work, it can be really big and there can be big purgings that happen or life changes that happen because all of a sudden you're reconnected to self and you're like, whoa, and your whole reality shifts, you know. So just be mindful of that. Yeah. Laurie says, I've been doing the womb healing meditation this week. Awesome. And this is where it's awesome to trust what you're being guided to do. Yeah, 100%. We're on base chakra. Trust your intuition. Like, come on, yeah? Kelly says, good to know. Yes, so important to know. Okay, what else there? Yeah, I think we're good. So anything else about the base chakra that needs to come through? Yeah, and so I'm hearing the trust in reality. Trust in reality and getting back to reality. So sometimes when we go through a chakra journey, so much stuff can come up, which is what I've definitely been through. I'm just like, wow, I'm so glad we're at base because this chakra journey has been like the biggest recalibration ever for me in all the lives that I've done it. Kind of like reality as well, but all the journeys that we've done over the years, this has definitely been the biggest recalibration for me. And at the base chakra, we can reconnect to reality. So sometimes when we're going through a big life direction change or a life change, we can be disconnected from reality. We can be out of reality because it's a coping mechanism to deal with what's coming up. So say, for example, like, you know, if you had to pack up and move house, like that's a big thing, and you can't really focus on anything but moving house unless you're paying someone to pack up your house and do it for you, right? So, you know, like there's not, you know, you might be disconnected from other things in your life while you're just like, hang on a second, I just have to move house, right? And so it's not like always a bad thing that like, oh, you're disconnected from reality. It's like, no, like you just went through a huge life change. Like, you know, or if you've just given birth to a baby, I'm like, all you can really focus on is like, how do I do this baby? Like, do you know what I mean? Like other things get left by the wayside. So it's like reconnecting back to reality, reconnecting back to yourself, reconnecting back to the things that ground you at the base chakra, because you're coming in at a recalibrated self. You're coming in at a what's the word, at an evolved self, at a next level self. Like you're not the same person who you used to be with this big life change you've just been through, and it's almost like that needs to be honored. Yeah, it's like, can you honor that of who you are as you go through this change? And I can't describe the feeling. It's almost like, it's almost like a ceremony or an honor. Like, you know how like you graduate at school or whatever and it's like, yeah, you made it. Like when you've gone through something huge, like, you know, celebrate, like go through your own graduation ceremony. I think it's really important to really honor what you've been through and who you have become in that transformation process. And that is the reason we do healing in the first place, yeah, to come back to ourselves and reconnect back to the truth of who we are, hopefully with the joy and, you know, the reconnection and the happiness of like why we did healing in the first place. And that's a really strong message coming through. So if you have been through a lot in the past few weeks or even the past few years and you feel like you're in a different space or you're just coming into it, start celebrating, start honoring that, you know, in whatever way, shape or form that is. Like light a ceremony candle, you know, ceremony for yourself, or take yourself out to dinner or whatever it is, or celebrate with friends or family. Like honor it. It feels really important to honor that. So on base chakra week this week, Leah says, I feel like I've grounded. Yeah, that's the feeling of it, isn't it? That's what I was like, can you guys feel the shift? It's like we've arrived, you know, when Siri's like, arrived, or I don't know what they say, but you know, it's like, you're here now. A lot has come up and working through it. Yeah. So I think this week is about celebrating your new arrival at your new destination, even though nothing's changed, but everything is changed, right? Everything is the same, but you know, nothing has changed, or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. And just honoring that place, because what's happened is a soul evolution. You've arrived inside your body, and that's the purpose of coming down through the chakras, is that we've gone up to spirit for too long. And the reality is that we are spirit and we are here in the physical body for a reason, or we'd be in another dimension. We wouldn't have incarnated here. And it is about reconnecting here. So if you feel that space, it's really like this week is celebrating, honoring, acknowledging your transformation and arriving, and like, I want to say receiving it. Let yourself receive this new space that you're in. Let yourself truly be seen for who you are in this space and who you are. Yeah, I feel that's really big. So, of course, other base chakra stuff can come up this week, but just be mindful and know that we're in it, and it's coming up to heal it and shift and transform it by your presence. Yeah? All right, so Trust Intuition doors are open. Early bird is there. If you've got questions about Trust Intuition, let me know. It is for our enrollment for next year. We start in February next year. So early bird doors open now. You can send me a message if you've got questions about it. Leah says, because I've also been doing Awaken Your Psychic Senses. That's a powerful one, that one. Awaken Your Psychic Senses is like exactly that. So I love that. There's so much in that course. There's so much in that course itself. So this is awesome to hear. All right. I love you guys heaps. Keeping it real as always. See you next week for Integration Week.